Many people have problems with art and not with reality.
So why is art different?
It's pretty simple, right?
This is knowledge, this is thinking, this is thought.
Yeah, it does something strange with your head.
Welcome to the Undergang Armchair.
Bring it.
Welcome to the Undergang Armchair. My name is Ando. This is the third and final episode of January, and today on the show we have Ida Højgaard Thjømøe. I'm going to have to start off by apologizing to Ida for butchering her name. Now, who is Ida, you might be asking? I'll answer that by telling you the story about how I found her. Several months ago, I found myself at Cafe Gentrification. You guys probably know the one. It's up, I don't remember the real name, but it's one of the ones up on Griffinfeld scale here in Copenhagen. The nice street with all the bomb African food. Well, now they have a couple of hip cafes there, as those things go, and my wife talked me into checking one out. Now, the longtime listener is probably fairly astute in their imagination of me, and I assure you, you are right. I was sulking and grumbling in the corner, but then I saw an art magazine on the wall, and it was one I'd never seen before. So I grab it and start to check it out, and it's called AF Art, F Art, and god damn it, it's good. The design is nice, the art is interesting, and it just looked different than your average arts publication. Upon further perusal, I see that it's the first issue, and then it had just come out. Now, who the hell starts a print magazine about arts in this day and age? Well, as you've probably deduced, Ida does. So I reached out, and here we are. So she's the young gun who took up this project. You probably don't know her now, but my money is on that you'll be seeing more of her in the future. And then you can tell all your friends that you heard it on the Undergang Armchair first. Yeah. Ida and I had this conversation last year, and now the time has come for the release of their second issue. The release party is on this Friday, January 29th at 7 p.m. You'll be able to see the new issue, to buy it, to listen to some delicious music, and probably enjoy a drink, I imagine. It's at the Dome of Visions. Such a badass name for a place. The Dome of Visions here in Copenhagen. And there'll be an address on the show notes for this episode or on F-Art's Facebook page. All the links are on our website. Not much else to report by way of news. I am absolutely cooked right now. I've been packing my studio into small boxes and I'm moving everything out tomorrow. One of the realities of being an artist is that, eventually you're going to need a studio space. And one of the further realities is that you will eventually get thrown out of that space so they can sell it to the highest bidder. The tradition continues, and I'm proud to say it's now my turn. It's nice to know I'm a part of history. But there is more interesting history here, and Ida's going to tell you about it now. Enjoy. And that's what it's really about, right? Is doing something you enjoy doing.
Exactly, and that was the basic for starting our art.
Are you an art? Do you come from an artist background? Or are you art historian?
I'm an art historian.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm working at my master's as an art historian. But I guess I've always been in the limit between being an artist, the theoretical, the practical. It's hard to take and choose because that's how the system works these days. You actually have to take a stand if you want to be.
Right, they're really split off.
They're really split off. And
which is kind of silly in a way because artists are very theoretical. A lot of artists are very theoretical now too.
And also I think if you really want to succeed as an artist today, that is almost a thing you need to do, like be theoretical.
If you look at like the young gallery, or not galleries, the artist-run spaces, which they tend to be very process-based, very theory-based. If you look at like Tova's or some of the other new ones.
Exactly.
But when you first went, I'm not exactly sure how the system works here. When you go to the academy, do you immediately have to decide whether you're doing art history?
Well, it's two different schools actually.
They're completely separate.
Completely separated.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and that's one of the things which are actually pretty interesting, because also not just the separation between the theoretical and the practical, but also the separation in between the practicals. Like art is located in the heart of the city,
Right.
while architecture, design, those subjects are located out at Refselsøen.
Right.
So it's like outside of the city, and are mostly like voted as the lower classifications of art. So it's pretty old school, actually, still.
It's really interesting. You'd think that they would probably want to create some sort of synergy between all departments and kind of cross-pollination.
Yes.
Especially since everybody relies on each other so much.
Exactly.
I think I'm pretty dumb because I just realized how important curators are. Like last year, I think, I always thought curators basically were hobbyists. Like, I didn't realize how much an integral part of the system they are.
They're coordinators.
Yeah.
Actually. And I guess that's kind of what the magazine is about as well. Like a platform you can coordinate these.
Right. Right. You're playing, you are a curator in that sense.
Well, we don't exclude it exactly.
Yeah.
Because it's a big coordination of all the disciplines, and trying to make people work together is something you don't learn in school. Actually, you're just learning where you put the limits.
Right. What you can do and what you can't do.
Yeah, and we're trying to explore it more.
Is it part of school, or is it completely separate of school?
It's completely separate. Well, the old magazine, which we're kind of something
like an extension
of, or
reliving,
organism,
second life,
phoenix bird. That started in school. It was founded by this University of Copenhagen, but this time we are taking it completely out of the university.
Okay, so what's the history of the magazine originally?
Well, it started as actually a magazine where students and professors could talk together and make discussions about art history in art history.
Okay, so it wasn't even practice-based in that sense.
No, actually.
Theory.
It was theory, yeah. And then they got a new editor a couple of years later called, his name is Dennis Rimmen, and he was like, made a whole new concept for it and tried to take it out of the university, but it was still founded by the university then, mostly. But he's tried to take it more and more out, and also took a lot of artists in and stuff like that. But there was no one to take over when he ended it, and he couldn't complete the job himself. So it was shut down. And it's a funny story, actually, how it started. Dennis was, when I started art history, he was out telling us about the magazine.
As a part of the course, basically? Like doing a lecture?
No, like an introduction to the course. What could you do with it, and blah, blah, blah. Like in the introduction days. And he was, it was stopped, the magazine there. But he was like, if anybody wants to like start it, you can call me.
Oh, he literally just opened that door.
Yeah,
wow.
Kind of.
Sneaky.
But that's like 4 years ago now.
Yeah.
And, I don't know. Well, we all remembered him. I think he has like a body language which is really rememberable, probably.
Yeah.
After finished my bachelor, I have a job as a guide, if you want to call that, or a teacher maybe, at the David Collection.
Right.
The Danish museum, located in a center for... It's one of the 10th biggest museum for Islamic art. Yeah.
I shamefully have never been there.
You should go.
I know, and it's right there in the center of town.
It is, but actually it's not that many people know it. At least not that it's one of the 10th biggest collection of Islamic art in the world.
I had no idea.
No.
I had no idea at all. And it's like that, and there's the other one, Tøjhusmuseet.
Oh, yeah.
Which I think is supposed to be really great.
Yeah.
And you don't really go there.
Oh, confession. I haven't been there either.
Oh, okay.
But, yeah.
But, I mean, it's a good institution, clearly.
Yes, definitely, and interesting exhibitions as well.
Yeah. So you were a guide there.
Yes, and actually, had children school classes. Also university classes on tours, talking about the difference between Islamic art, Danish art, European art, and also used art to tell something about the community. So maybe, and it just struck me when I was having these tours, how good perspective the art gave on Islam, which you don't get from the news and from other places.
Boy, isn't that the truth right now?
Exactly. Which you go in there and you see these beautiful, beautiful things, and you can learn something about the religion, which, like, you came more in the depth with the culture.
Right. And you can also, it kind of humanizes people, you know, because in a weird way you'd say, let's just take current media picture of the Middle East. I think it's pretty dehumanizing.
Exactly.
You know, the way you talk about refugees, for example, you know. So, yeah, I think you're right that art culture in that sense brings it closer to home.
It does. And also the thing about art objects or artifacts is that you actually have like something, like you objectifies something which is not there, actually. You know, it can be anything. It can be nature, history, philosophy, whatever.
Right, any idea, anything you decide.
Anything, yeah. And if you bring that story to a person, they get maybe some kind of reflections, hopefully.
Right, some sort of relation to it on a personal level. Which
can start some thinking, maybe.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
I think at least that's what many artists want with their work, today at least.
Yeah.
And of course in history it's different. But anyways, having those tours just made me realize what kind of potential there were in art, which I don't think is valued enough.
Was that kind of a breakthrough moment for you, like with your own thoughts about what you were doing? And
definitely, like going 3 years in art history, you really had to like all the time. Yeah,
right.
Like,
what the fuck am I doing?
And you know, you had the media would say, "Yeah, you will be like workless employees until you die." So,
right. Two of you will get a job; the rest of you will be worthless.
Exactly. There's cuts and cuts and cuts.
Yeah.
And blah blah. So yeah, it was actually, and I just think that was when I started to search for something who could like fill this spot that I was think missing. And I met Dennis at that's funny. It was a 100 hours bar at one of the collegiums in Copenhagen.
Okay. What is 100 hours bar?
It's a really 100 drunk hours.
Okay, it's just a bar that's open for 100 hours?
Yes, actually.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of drinking.
That's a lot of drinking. It is. But yeah, you know, all good ideas.
Right. Lubrication.
Exactly. And I recognized him from 3 years back with the magazine. And I went over to him and asked what happened to it. And one thing led to another, and we met a week later, and he gave me all the help I needed and said, go for it.
So you said to yourself, I'm a student and I need more to do.
Yes.
Exactly. So it's just you. You got this idea on your own.
Well, then after talking to him, I had, I went directly to 2 of my friends and asked, would you be interested in like starting this with me? Because, and it was all depended on them actually, because I knew I couldn't do it alone.
It's a lot of work to get something like that off the ground.
It's
more work than you ever imagined.
It's more work than I ever imagined. It still is.
Yeah.
But it still is like, I just hold on to like why I started, I think, to make it come true.
Well, I mean, you can say that it did something in that I just happened to find it and immediately recognized its value And that's why I contacted you to have on the show, because especially in a time now where everybody's basically saying print media is dead, the fact that you guys or you started this, I think speaks to what your intentions are. Clearly you're not trying to get rich.
No, no.
And clearly also, well, you tell me, but are you imagining this being a really long-term project?
Well, I hope so. I definitely hope so. But it is really an issue with money. And I hope that we can grow. It doesn't have to go fast or anything. I just want us to grow nice and steady and maybe get some more commercials to get not many, but just so we can get it go around. Because it is we're not earning anything on this. And we will not do in the future either. Yeah. But we need to to make a printed magazine is expensive. Right,
just to break even.
Yes, exactly.
It takes a certain amount of budget. I mean, that's the nice thing about an internet-based media like
this.
There isn't that many overhead costs, whereas printing actually involves the presses.
Printing is expensive. And I guess that's why most people go away from the printed magazine now and put it online.
Probably.
Yeah, it's easier. It definitely is. But
had I found you online, I probably would not have contacted you.
True.
So what is it about that material which makes the difference? Because if you argue, okay, print, digital, not that big of a difference now. Everyone's got an iPad, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
There's something about finding it in a cafe. I wouldn't have found an iPad leaning up against the wall with a page open, I don't know. Do you have any thoughts as to why print versus media versus online?
Well, I think you can put it right back to the question of art itself, because it is an object. It's not something. Well, now you can what is it today when you put it on the internet?
It's getting away from that necessarily.
That's very true. But still, I think we still have this in human nature about holding things. It's the senses. And when you can catch the senses, then it makes things interesting. And that's what also exhibitions now, you don't only put the eyes in the game. You also have to put the hearing, the smells, the touching to really catch people's attention.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm starting to, not to always bring it back to me, but I'm starting to look at designing an exhibition, and it feels weird to design an exhibition that's just pictures on the wall.
Yeah, exactly.
It feels like it's not enough.
No.
The amount of engagement now seems standard that you need something three-dimensional or something, like you say, with hearing or touching or which is, I think, hard for a lot of people. So many people have been working two-dimensional for so long.
Yeah.
And I guess galleries are changing the slowest.
Yes.
Some.
Yeah, but I think so too. Just putting music in a gallery is still really rare. And that's kind of weird, actually, because in museums they do it pretty often.
Yeah.
But galleries are still a bit white cube.
I guess it's also a matter of, if you're going to sell it, you have to imagine that you can hang it on the wall.
Yeah, probably.
But it's just funny because as soon as that border gets taken down, everything just goes crazy because so much more is possible.
Yeah.
When you don't have to constrain yourself to white walls.
Of course. And I think that was what we wanted with a magazine as well, was to make it, also we have these small paper galleries in it where we actually it's also to value the artworks we put in it as the most effective way, really have high quality on the paper, make good prints, don't disturb them with a lot of graphical extras.
It was very nicely made, I gotta say.
Thank you.
Really good.
Yeah, that's my layouter, Mikkel.
Shout out to Mikkel, you did a great job.
Yeah, really.
And I was shocked actually that it was #1. I look at it and I was like, what? It just seemed like you guys had a very clear concept with what you were doing.
And I can tell it's not only #1, it's his #1 magazine as well. He hasn't made any magazine before.
Wow.
Yeah, he has talent.
Buy that guy a beer. Yeah. Make sure he comes back.
And that's it, because, when I shut it out that I wanted to start this magazine, it didn't take long before people came running. And it's so qualified people. Like, they are amazing. Like, it's so amazing to see how you find some people who love something and do it. And maybe I don't love it, but that's where I find some people who actually do. And it just makes a great mix.
Yeah, having a team is going to be crucial, especially for the longevity.
Exactly.
Because at some point you're going to get tired. Not just tired of it in general, but 1 month
really
it's going to be tough.
Tired,
and they're going to be there to help you through that.
Exactly, they already are. Like, I had some breakdowns during the first where I was like, it's never going to happen. And of course, they were the ones who pulled me through that.
Yeah.
And so it goes both ways, of course.
Are you thinking about doing it 4 times a year? I didn't see how much.
3 times a year.
3 times a year.
So the next will be in January, the end of January.
Okay.
Yeah, so we are working hard
right
now.
around the corner.
Right around the corner, yes. And we still don't have the money, so that will be interesting.
See, that is the hard part. How much energy should you spend on the actual product and how much should you spend on the project of getting it funded and realized?
Yeah. And that's where I guess that's the job for me is at least to take the hard part.
Or you need fundraising, there's...
Yeah, I have one, maybe soon 2 fundraisers.
Yeah.
So hopefully, we have become, I think, almost 10 more people on this issue already.
Wow.
Yeah, so, it makes my job easier, of course.
Except for now you got to manage 10 more people.
Exactly. So actually it's more being a coordinator.
Yeah.
And also it's really you come against some dilemmas which you had never thought you would think about, really political issues, who is going to make commercials in the magazine, and who do you take money from, and even though this is a subjective view of things, will you post it in the magazine and stuff like that? It's really, it's hard.
There's a lot.
Yeah, what is the magazine? We're still growing, so it's yeah.
Did you, how did the reception of the first one go?
Well, it was so weird because it actually went 100% well.
Yeah?
And I wouldn't imagine it. I didn't sleep 2 nights before, maybe 3 nights before, because we had to pursue the release for 2 weeks,
right?
Which resulted in that we would get the magazine on the day. Yeah, so I was standing out in my bathroom window with my head looking out for 4 hours from 8 to 12.
Just waiting for it to arrive.
Just waiting for it to arrive. And it didn't arrive. And then the rest of the editors came and the team. And we all stood out my bedroom window for 2 more hours. And then it suddenly came. And we popped the champagne. And we started to write. Well, we have written a number in every magazine. And we started to write that. It was blowing our minds off to get it dry, and drive over to this location in the inner city, which is an old what's it called, cloister and where we should have the release party. And we had put this amazingly artwork from one of the artists, Rune Bosse.
I also invited him. He's going to come on the show.
Oh, yeah, exactly. He told me, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's he's amazing, and the work is amazing. Yeah. He really has some philosophical thoughts in his works, but you can just see his personality in all. And it's so all human, everybody can relate to it, I think. So we have put this 81 glass bottles in the middle of a room where people were drinking.
Good start.
Yeah. And I was really nervous because he was away in Norway on another art project, and I was in charge of this artwork.
Yeah.
But there was no troubles at all. People were so respectful and really were like really went into the artwork and talked about it and mingled, and it was just a really good social room. And there were 250 guests in this small room.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was hot as well.
Did you feel like you attracted the attention of people that didn't otherwise know about it?
Well, that's funny you ask, because the first people who came, which were 5 guys standing in a circle right next to the bar, I couldn't recognize them, and I was thinking it was a bit funny that I just expected that I would know the people who came first.
Yeah.
And one of my friends, he went over to them, and they didn't know what they were going into or what they had went into. They didn't know the magazine at all. Had just seen that there were free beers on some, yeah. But they stayed the whole night, and I think it was a really, really good release. Yes, it was. And also one of my co-editors, he pulled us all on stage at some point and make a speech, and it was so relaxed and so not rehearsed.
Yeah.
Everything, it was just perfect, actually. Yeah.
Do you feel like you entered any sort of like, well, I don't want to say citywide, but scene-wide discussion about arts? You know, like, do you feel like you're now part of whatever comprises Copenhagen's art scene?
Well, actually, I would say I hope not.
Why not?
Well, of course I hope I am, but I hope that, well, the magazine is definitely not only meant for people in the Copenhagen art world. Like, we really try to show people that art can be something that is relevant for you in your time, even though maybe it's an artwork which is 300 years old, and maybe it's a contemporary art in your neighbor museum. Like, but it's actually about how art is relevant today. And that's why I hope, like, we're also planning our next release right now. And, well, we were talking about having it at a gallery, but as also I worked at a gallery, which was actually a gallery who broke down the borders a bit of who goes to galleries and who's not going to galleries.
Which one's that?
It was Mo's exhibit. It's closed last summer. It was on Vesterbro, but it was a gallery for urban art. Okay. So it had like art which was also street artist and also more what do you call it?
Boring? No.
No, maybe more educated. Sure. Maybe like
more
going to the academic. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But and also, yeah. So I think it wouldn't be a problem to have the release at the gallery like that, of course. But I think that people might have an imagination of how it is to go at a gallery, which is a bit of a pity, I think, because galleries are great, but we are trying to like get other people as well to come. And as been on both working at the gallery and also been at several galleries during 4 years of art history studies, you see the same people over and over again. Yeah.
No, it's like a reunion. You know?
Yeah,
it
is. It's a lovely reunion. But we want something more.
That's commendable.
It is. It's.
I mean, because I think a lot of people have been, talking about academia in art, and one of my favorite sayings is art criticism is the intellectual's revenge on the artist. That sort of thing. Like, there is that whole attitude of like, maybe some parts of the art world are over academized. Yeah. Do you feel directly like that, or do you feel more like you just want to kind of change the tempo or the tone?
Well, actually, I'm not that fond of talking about academic art, because of course there is, but also I think people is kind of scared of the academic itself, which I think is pretty bad.
I'm terrified of
yeah, of course, but I think that what you learn in a humanistic education is actually an ability to be critical and also to ask questions and reflect over some things, which I mean is pretty important in a society.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's probably a lot of the problem with people in general engaging with art, is they don't ever try to stop, or not ever, excuse me. I think one of the problems is that people maybe often don't go in and say, why did they make this?
Exactly.
Or try to understand what sort of discussion is being had. Instead, they'll be like, I don't get it. It's garbage.
Yeah.
Let's go get drunk.
Exactly.
So I guess in that sense, academics are quite good. They teach you to be critical about everything.
Yeah.
Really.
But the problem with academics, and which is also kind of what I'm working against, is the language they use.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's bullshit.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's funny because I do speak Danish.
Yeah.
I have a job here in Denmark. I speak Danish every day. Whenever I read something academic about arts, I don't understand any of it.
No.
The language they use is not a language I hear anywhere else.
No.
And the way they talk about things. And that's just funny because it's my second language. So I get it in English when I read that sort of stuff. But that one step removed makes it impossible for me to understand.
Wow.
And that kind of speaks to the way you talk.
Yes.
It's like a different language.
It does. And that's one of the goals with AWAT as well, to actually make the academic language what it can be. Like so much more,
Right, because you can talk about anything. It's just how you talk about it.
It's so much how we talk about it. And, well, this is where I can ask you, like, this is a pretty dangerous question here, but did you understand what was standing in AWAT? Or have you read
I didn't really read it because it was the cafe's copy.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't take it with me.
I will give you a copy afterwards.
Okay, and I will tell you the honest truth whether I understand it or not.
Yeah, and please do, because if not, it's not good enough. Then I have to... And it's actually really hard to make academics to write otherwise. Like,
well, they're trained their whole lives to have a discourse in a certain manner.
It's like crashing the world down, and it's crashing my own world down because I'm from there myself. But it's
I was thinking last week even, I'm so tired. There's these buzzwords in the art world. In English, for example, the word negotiate gets overused in the art world all the time.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, well, it's, or notions.
Notions.
The word notions. I don't use that anywhere except for when I'm talking about the notion of an idea of an artwork. It's everybody who knows agrees that this is a way you talk about thinking about an idea.
Yeah.
That's all that means. But it's a completely different word. And it's the same with negotiating concepts of post-colonialism, let's say.
Yeah.
It's a sentence you can understand, but it's said in a way that only people who've studied art
actually
can relate to.
Yeah, can relate to. Yeah, true. That's a perfect difference. Like, you understand it, but how do you relate to it? Like,
right, and that will make it so that whatever those words are in Danish, I don't relate to.
No,
because I didn't go to school in Denmark.
No,
so then all of a sudden I'm just like, I don't know,
Yeah. And that might actually be why I also started this, because I'm Norwegian. And Norwegian, I'm sorry for all my Norwegian fellas, but Norwegian is like a baby language of Danish. It's the easy version.
Oh, yeah, no, it is definitely easier. That's true.
Like, we're saying things as they are. And it's just easier. So maybe that's why the idea came as well. I don't know.
Well, it could relate back to your own ideas about language then.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Do you speak Danish or do you speak
fluently? Yeah, my mother is Danish. So it's no worries there. But the writing is hard. And in an academic world, it's even harder. So, of course, like, language is really interesting because there's also so much culture in a language. And that's also a thing you have to, like, make a choice about when you write a magazine, like, which language should it be on? Like,
who is this for?
Who's
your
this
audience?
For?
That's the big question.
And like, is it only on Danish? Should it be like translated? Is it allowed to write on English? All those things. And And yes, it is allowed to write in English. We just haven't had any as of
I was going to
first.
say, you guys decided to go all Danish as far
Yeah,
as I
at
saw.
first we did, but that was actually kind of a coincidence because all the articles we got was on Danish.
Okay.
But I have rumors that there might be 2 articles in English for the next magazine, and also we are planning to put it online after when it's a new release. We put the pre one online.
Right, so you can see the previous.
Yeah, and then you can translate it there, and maybe we will have translation on English as well.
Good
Depends on
idea.
the costs.
It depends, yeah. And the time. Time becomes such an issue, too.
Oh yeah, time and money, huh?
Well, I mean, the Danes have this great word, which I really like, formidling,
Oh yeah.
which doesn't translate as well into English. I mean, it means
I know.
development, right? Development of arts?
Yeah, but actually no. I was actually, because that's the word I really wanted to use today, because I was thinking about it on our way here, what was actually the meaning of award. But I couldn't come up with a word who says the same thing.
Because development sounds so sterile. I feel like maybe it's almost championing.
Championing.
I don't
wow.
know if that's a real... Is that even really an English word? But you say championing, like someone who champions an idea means that you fight for the idea.
Well,
that you-
maybe, but it can also just be seen as a tract. Like you are this, like you have a concept, and you are the voice who tells it to another person, and it depends. Like you choose the voice it will be said in, or the language you can say this will be said in.
Okay.
So there is a whole science there, like of voices.
I'm going to look this up.
Yeah, do
What
that.
is this? Yeah, because I love that word, even if apparently I don't exactly know what it means. But I feel like that's one thing Denmark really has done a good job in focusing on in the arts world.
Yes, they had.
Had?
I'm afraid it's changing, and I'm really trying to make it not to.
Do tell.
No, it's just like there's so many cuts in the like teaching school system today, and that's where we use it mostly, and also in like research in this field. It stops now.
You thinking on the academic level or in the private?
In both. Academic level, like the ones who are founded by the state.
Okay, formidling.
Public. Yeah, familiar.
Arrangement.
Arrangement?
Through his agency.
Okay, that's...
Agency also can mean to affect something or to do something. Formidle is affect.
Yeah, affect maybe. That's a
Arrange,
good thing.
to be instrumental in bringing about. That makes sense.
Yeah.
To be in charge of. Yeah.
Affect is a good word.
Yeah.
Because you're like, if you are the affector, the formidler, then you're actually, well, you choose how to say something. You choose what story should be told.
But as a concept, I think it's a really interesting one in arts because you're talking about the agents who affect culture and help transmit culture. Like you were saying, like paths and so that can then be anything, whether it's a lecture, a blog post, a newspaper article, God forbid, a podcast. And so it's sad to hear that you say they're cutting back on it, but I will say that it's not something they focus on in America very much.
Okay, well, that's a good thing. Not good to hear for
No, but
American
it's
side,
good thing that they
good
do that
they-
here because
yes.
they recognize the importance
Yeah.
of that agency.
And I think that's a focus you get more and more as well, is like you putting questions to who is talking, what story is told, whose story is told. And that is also why all the articles in Awad is so like you should have a personal voice in it, because it's actually your stand, it's your story, it's your opinion you're telling.
You can't pretend that it's some sort of objective.
No, there is no universal truth. That's the main theme of our next issue.
Yeah.
Which the theme actually is dominance.
Dominance.
Yeah.
Time to take over. Dominance. Underline that puppy.
Yeah. But where we're actually talking about this, like how there is no universal truth and how everything is subjective and it's personal, you know.
Well, I think that's why so many things are breaking down old systems, you know.
Yes.
I don't know how many years ago it was that people would think that media was not subjective.
Oh, yeah.
Or I'm sorry, was subjective. You know, clearly, it's not objective, you know. It's subjective, and that goes for all information.
Yeah. Yeah, so definitely things are changing. Like, there has been some good effects.
There's nothing to believe in anymore.
No.
But I do think that's a really nice thing is that has some sort of support system. And I know this. I mean, I noticed you guys had gotten some funding to pull it off.
Yes, the first time.
But there wasn't any from the state, was there?
No, we had some from the university, like a starting fund. But no more.
Well, the state usually waits around a little bit to see if you're not just doing it like you're serious.
Yeah, and we hope that they see we're serious soon. Please
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's hard. It's like you really need to think through who you're asking for money.
And advertising is a broken system now too.
Yeah.
People don't pay as much for print advertising.
No, absolutely not. It's like, but everything is, accepted.
Do you have any sort of hope that one day you could make a living doing this?
No. But I have a hope that it could be self-running. Yeah, but it will always be I will not make a living on this. Maybe like the idea of it, I hope I can make a living on. Like the project itself, I will make it in other medias and other things. But the magazine itself, I hope will never be something anyone can live by. I hope it can just be what it is, and still, because I think if it gets about money, you don't feel the liberation of saying what you really mean. And that's what most art magazines have the troubles with today, I think. And that's where we are different.
Right.
So it will be kind of taking some of the identity of our art if it would actually be that much money in it.
That's that's what's so tough about that situation.
It is.
Because the more time you put into it, the less time you have for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Including the job that you have or whatever you do to pay the rent.
Yeah.
But as soon as you do make money from it, you then get stuck in the fact that you have to continue making money off of it.
Exactly.
And that's where the Danish state is good, because they can back up on projects that that have no, business plan. They have no financial foundation.
True.
But it's such an unsecure, they could just decide, okay, we don't feel like supporting this anymore.
Yes.
And then you're just kind of like, oh, we have nothing,
Yeah.
Have you at all began thinking about long-term plans, or are you guys still just
we have we have planned the third, like kind of, and I think that also it looks like it's getting easier for every time.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the first one is the worst.
Yes, exactly. So I hope really that also the financial part will be more and more settled, and get some long-term contributors and commercials.
Well, I mean, the good thing is you could eventually use the experience as a consultancy type of thing.
True. And actually people is getting a lot out of this. People who's working at the projects get jobs, get internships.
Huge value in the actual experience.
Yes, and also that you do volunteer work and work for a case is really it's a good vibe to send to other people. And that's the thing, that's what it should be. And Also, the social part about it is really great. Like it's really like people could maybe think that I'm really romanticizing it all, but I'm not doing it for romanticizing an idea. It's more like a protest, maybe, for the people who says that it's not possible. Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, it's well, I mean, it's kind of nice to do something that no one else would do, right?
Yeah, it is. And also, it's like I had no experience at all by my like magazine-ish, but it's just like I remember we had I can't remember his name now. That's a pity, but we had a spokesman out at some lecture, and he said, like, if you don't have a job, just fake it till you make it. And it's like, that was just, it made so much sense.
True shit.
So much sense.
And again, the more engaged you are, the more opportunities are going to come up.
Yeah.
You know, if you know people who are working, whether it's, you know, paid work or volunteer work, whatever, then you're going to be knowing what's going on, what's where, who.
Exactly.
Oh, the networking
We are
problem.
where the pulse are. Yeah, working on the pulse. It's, yeah. So that's, yeah, what we're talking. And also, like, there is a lot of art reviews and stuff, of course, and blogs, art blogs and stuff, and also in Copenhagen. But I think that we're trying to talk about things that are not just here at the moment, but actually, like, if you pull the magazine out 2 or 3 years from now, it will still make sense what you read. Like, it's about a more depth in humanity, maybe. I don't know. It's hard to use the big words.
Well, you were talking earlier about art creating perspective.
Yeah.
And that kind of makes me think about what your goals are there. You know, if you really want to go back to the truest sense of formulating of this effect, what is it you hope to affect?
Okay, you're asking me. Well, okay. I'm hoping to affect reflections about our living day, actually.
With a context of art, or?
With the, yeah, by using art as thing we, like, our, place of origin, or what do you say? And, yeah, it's because art has this ability to show something you don't see otherwise, because it's just you have to use your imagination, and it's important to like keep triggering your imagination, because if not, it stops and you get like, well, I would say dead, but people can still live being
There's nothing sadder
dead.
than seeing the people who've just given up.
Exactly, and I think it's really hard to live today and see all these. Universal truth going up in a poo, like, okay, where went religion, where went this country, where went this and where went that, you know, everything is falling apart, and the environment itself in many ways, and people are asking questions like, what are we doing here? And I think that's the wrong question. It's not about what are we doing here, it's more about how do we make this work, actually? How do we move forward? Yeah. And that's, so that was a long answer, but reflections about,
Well, I mean, it's a lofty goal. We had Augusta Atla on the show 2 episodes ago, and she was talking about what a shame it is that people don't engage with art more.
Yes, exactly.
Because I was kind of being the devil's advocate and saying, like, if you really want to change the world, maybe you shouldn't do it through art, because so few people engage with it.
Yeah.
You know, but she was just saying, no, more people need to engage with it.
Exactly.
That's why we do this, is to bring more people in. Because,
well, I agree with her.
And I do too, because, I mean, as much as I may complain about the art world, especially the profit-driven, speculation-driven art world, try to imagine a world without art.
That sucks.
It's not only does it suck, but it's kind of impossible.
Yeah.
Right? Because even if the money system didn't exist, there would
Various human
still
expressions.
be, yeah, exactly. I mean, people would still whistle on the way to the supermarket or...
And actually, I think we're going into a time where art actually can really unfold itself because we are starting to sit and putting these questions art is a way to, well, first of all, it can actually affect all our senses. Like people is trying yoga, alcohol, drugs, whatever, to like religions, to like make sense of everything and like feel something. And I think that art has that ability too, like really get into the depth with something. And people is actually searching for it now.
So like a lack of meaning in modern society in that our older institutions are crumbling, religious.
Well, yeah, and maybe not a lack of meaning, but it's just we're like realizing that the meaning we thought we had is not it. So we should look other places. And that's like, that could go to pessimistic views. But the thing is that if you really know how to crack that code, if you really know how to live without the universal truth, then you're about something. Then you actually become really smart, I think.
Or at least you have something to share.
Yeah, exactly.
Regardless
and I would really like to ask the person who know how to do that, like without troubles and without having bad days.
So is that episode 3, Beyond Human Universal Truths?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean it's you know, it's big thoughts for something like a magazine, right?
It is. Oh my god.
But at the same time, it's not about the magazine. It's about living a life and engaging with the world. Right? The magazine actually isn't that important.
No.
It's more about how you're doing, just how you're going about what you're interested in and what life is about. And I think maybe that is what comes back to what is important about art.
Yeah. I think that
creating
you said
some sort of value.
Totally correct there. Yeah.
So starting a religion, starting an arts-based religion.
No, but maybe like starting a movement more.
Yeah.
You know.
The problem is we're also individualistic now.
A what?
We're also individualistic now.
Yes, we are. And
it's hard to get together.
It is. And the magazine is something that makes people come together as well. Yeah. Also, if we go all the back to our beginning of this conversation, but also between the disciplines, between the theoretical and the practical.
That, I think, is important. Because it shouldn't become rarefied. It shouldn't become ghettoized in its own corner. No,
it shouldn't. And also, that's what we're facing when we are finished our educations, right? Then we actually have to go out and work with those people who are not in our own field.
Yeah, and that's kind of the argument against the old academic system is that it is not really a preparation for reality.
And also the old like university style is a result of the idea of the universal truth came in the Enlightenment period.
Right.
Yeah, so it's all connected.
Doesn't work.
No. And actually, I think there is going to be one of my co-editors, Anna's, who's going to write an article about that for the next. It's going to be
good idea.
Cool.
Good idea, because I do think there does need to be some more tearing down of these kind of weird parallel roads.
Yes, exactly.
And this podcast is literally, it started because I missed having the kind of discussion and life I had in art school about arts.
Oh, yeah.
Because once I went to the real world, and then I moved to Denmark, which didn't help either. But I didn't have the same kind of daily engagement with ideas about arts, about life, about, walking through life, and so having a podcast then allows me and us to talk about this sort of stuff again, and creates an excuse, just like the magazine for you creates an excuse to engage with artists, with thinkers, with...
Exactly. I think again, I said we were in the same business. I think really it is like getting a forum or media to actually talk about these things.
Right, and to help it, and it's, I wouldn't say it's selfish, but it's also personal. It's how one might want to engage with the world.
And that's the thing about being individualistic these days. Like, it needs to be personal before people actually can relate to it, because everybody's personal.
Well, it's funny, too, that you also need an excuse to do something. Like, had I called you and been like, I saw your magazine, let's sit down and have a cup of coffee and talk for an hour, you would have been like, I don't, but just the fact that there's a forum for it.
Yeah.
Or if you came to me and were like, will you write an article for me?
Yeah.
About your ideas about this? And be like, why? Like, it helps to have that framework.
Yes, it does. And that's, again, like, how everything is, like, constructed, right? Yeah.
Right, and then, creating archives is also interesting.
Yeah, creating archives. Oh, yeah. Like, tell me about it. Working at a museum where everything is organized. Like, when I'm not having these guided tours, I'm sitting with these artifacts and dating them and putting them into geographical places.
That's cool.
And it is cool, but it's also pretty weird. Like, and it's like, okay, this might be from... Yeah, Turkey, this might be from India. Let's put it where? Like, it's...
The Turco-India file?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, it's so funny how we just make decisions about classifying, right? But the thing is, now we have the museums, we have the collections, which is a result of, the Enlightenment period, where you try to, like, organize everything, classify everything, to, like, get everything in order. And now we're seeing this is not working. But we still need the order to pull it down. Like, we can go in and affect now, like, which stories are we telling?
Right, we can't start over.
But we can't start over. We
there
have
may have
to,
been
like,
a lot of
make
problems,
it work.
But...
Yeah. We cannot start. We have to, like... It's the same with... Yeah, okay, now I'm going into the theme of the next, because there's also going to be a lot of colonialism.
Right.
Which is a big issue in Denmark now. There's in tons of... articles in the newspapers and stuff like that. So obviously it's something that it's pretty touchy right now.
Totally. I mean, it was just last week that Save the Children Denmark apologized for taking Greenland's children out of Greenland by force, essentially.
Exactly. So it's really...
Just last week.
Yeah.
That's so crazy that like it's taken that long.
Yeah, it's so weird. But that's like... Also, when you sit with this collection, these archives, like Islamic art, where does it come from, right?
Right. Who had to die to get this?
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, it's here.
Right.
We can't do anything about that. What we can do something about is how we choose to tell the story about these subjects. Like, so that's also what's interesting in, like, the museum part of art right now. And also the galleries has the potential, of course, to affect these stories which are telling. They just have the more commercial again.
They have that same problem we were talking about earlier.
Yeah,
that if you make a living from it, you are then bound to that.
Yeah. But the museums, I think, is actually a platform which can develop pretty cool the next years and make, maybe something great. Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, they're going to have to be forerunners in culture.
Yeah, and also if you really want to catch the school children who's coming to the museum, you really have to do it in a fun way, because they have the iPad right in the pocket.
Right. They could give a fuck unless you really start entertaining them.
So maybe actually the thing we should do is making art games as well.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like, the world is opening up.
Yes.
And the way you engage with art is the whole system is breaking down. And there's a lot more breaking down that needs to be done.
Yes.
But, just the fact that now there's thoughts about audience engagement. I think that's like 10, 15, 20 years old, that idea.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it was just a big vault that locked away culture.
Yes, of course.
And instead now they have to become ambassadors for their riches. If it is to be a public institution for good for society. Yeah,
and people don't want to go to museums and feel dumb. Like they want to like go there to have a great experience. Like it's all about the experience now. So that's like, they really have to like think in a new way.
They have to compete with television.
They
have to
do.
compete with, World Cup soccer.
Yeah. They do. And it's a funny thing because, when the museum started, the tradition of the museums we know today, also there was these world exhibitions, you know, maybe
Oh, right, the World
biannuals.
Expos.
Yeah.
Like the one they have now in Italy?
Yes, exactly.
It's garbage, don't go.
In Venice?
Yeah. No, not that one. No, the World Exhibition.
Oh, the World Exhibition.
In Milan.
Oh, yeah, okay.
No, I didn't get to go to Venice this year, unfortunately.
Because Venice was pretty cool. It's pretty political. Anyways, this started the same time as the Olympic Games. So you had this national art exhibition, and you had this national sport games.
Right.
So it was all a part of the national state.
Culture
Which was also
as
constructed.
right. As a point of pride.
Exactly, yeah. So, well, it's obvious that it still is these things art can do, you know. You can use art for many reasons. If it's because you want to, like, promote your national state, or if it's because you want to promote some, like, feminism or whatever. You can use it. Like, it's a tool as well.
There should totally be art Olympics.
There should totally be art Olympics.
I'm just imagining right now, like, you know, Damien Hirst parading down for England, and
like, yeah.
Damien versus Jeff Koons. But that's funny because, right, it shouldn't be that different in theory. As weird as that sounds.
Yeah, but in theory, it's true.
It's no different. You know, it is a spectacle.
Yeah, they both are.
It feels really weird to say it. But like you said, it's entertainment. A museum's job is to entertain, to create an experience.
Yes.
And that, in that case, is no different than a television show or a you know. No. I guess I keep coming back to television or theater or that sort of stuff is art. But a soccer game, let's just say.
Yeah.
Which is also an experience or entertainment.
Yes, exactly. And also, because if the museums want to stay, they need to, not be just something dusty. Yeah.
So the magazine, you guys obviously have a lot of fire to get this done, to make it happen.
We're
excited.
We do. Yeah.
Are you guys starting to make a process? Do you have like, how do you find artists? How do you work? Is it your theme which decides that, or is it personal network, or?
Well, basically, when we start a process for our next issue, we come up with a theme, and mostly it's it's like this really just ideas we put on the table and talking, and well, the themes who are most wide open is usually the one we take. And then the process starts. Like, we write out, open call, who wants to get involved. You
guys do an open call?
Yeah, we do an open call.
Cool.
Yeah, both for artists and for articles. And then we offer info meeting at the beginning of the process, where people can come and, well, tell their ideas or just hear about the magazine or the theme. And then we just work from there. Like, the artists for the first magazine was basically, we found one of them on Instagram. Yeah, so thanks to social media.
Great.
Yeah,
I mean, why not?
And he actually got off with the front page, Joshua Drake's.
Okay.
Yeah, been a great working with him. And another, and you know, it's weird, but it's just, I would say, fall down from clear sky. They're all there, and when they are there, you know it's them who's going to be in the next magazine.
Well, if you know what question you're asking, then it's much easier to find the answer.
It is. So, but it's really, really nice to see how many artists who sent their work in. It really is, and you know, we had to think of a lot of things, like have a variation in the same magazine. So of course that could exclude some from this issue, but maybe we can put them up later again. And also we try to, not be too political correct, like not make, like, we don't need to have a woman artist at one magazine. We don't have these rules, which a lot of art institutions need to have these days. We don't need this and need that. It's about a feeling, actually. And that's the fun thing about being one's own boss, right? Because you can actually do what you want. And the talks we have in it, in the editors and the team, it's really often really interesting. Like why you choose one artist in front of another in one article instead of, because one thing is that one article can be extremely good, but if it doesn't like fit in the wholeness of the magazine, then it's an issue.
That's something you really have to learn is, that's editing. That's literally what editor has to do is you have to say, this isn't bad, it's just not for now. Yeah, exactly. So that's also why we hope to get maybe an online platform at some point. Probably a good idea. Yeah, it is. Yes. Yeah. So. But that's more work and more people and more, It is, and yeah. But where can people at the moment engage with you guys? Where can you buy the magazine? Where can you? Well, yeah, the magazine is only, unfortunately, sold in Copenhagen at this moment. It's sold at the State Museum of Art, SMK, and the art, what do you call it? The art hall? No. Which one? Oh, Kunsthal. Yeah, Kunsthal. That is terrible. They don't translate that. I know, but it's called the big art galleries. Kunsthal. Kunsthal, yeah. Nicolai Kunsthal, Charlottenborg, Gammelstrand. Okay. And also some of there is some stores called kiosk, which is actually for magazines and stuff like that. There you can buy it, and also in some of the bookstores. It's all on our Facebook page. Okay, so is the best way online to engage with you guys via Facebook? Yes, it is. Until now, the web is coming to the next release. It is. It is. Got it. Yeah. And also, everyone can write to us and we'll send it in the post. We have mobile pay. So. Right. So you can order it. You can order it. If you want to get it from abroad or from Jutland or something. Yes, exactly. And we have sent it. Yeah, abroad as well. And also, economics is something we don't do a lot in. So we are. It might change a bit for the next. It's tough, because you don't even really want to think about it, but you have to. I know. Yeah. So we just have to see how it will go down. And if not, if the worst case scenario, if it doesn't work, then at least we got a lot out of it. And I'm sure it will, actually. I'm not afraid. People often ask me, how long and for how long. Yeah, what about everything? And I'm one day at a time. Yeah, exactly. How big is the print run? How many are you doing? Well, right now we're doing 900. Okay. And that depends on the money, how many it will be for the next. Because the interest is good enough. It's just about, if you want to print 200 more, it's, really a lot of money more. Okay. So you're not having a problem getting rid of the magazine? It's just no, but also we are pretty giving them away left and right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's you did this to share, right? Exactly. Yeah. So that's. So, but next issue comes in January. Yes. People can find you on Facebook. What's the face page? Just Our Art Magazine. Okay. What's the name, by the way? Where did that come from? That's actually Our Art means a variety of a species. In Danish? In Danish, yes. And also you could split the words in two, as we have done. And Our Art, of art. Okay. So it's by art. Ah, I got it. Okay. Yeah, so it has this double thing. But that's actually the only thing maybe we have taken further for the old magazine, which was before us. That is the name, the brand. Okay. Yeah. Well, we'll put up links to everything on the page too. Cool. And ditto. Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you for having me. Much appreciated. You too. Yeah, that was nice, right? Ida is sharp as a tack, and I look forward to seeing what she does down the road. Don't forget the release party here on Friday. All the details are on our site. Now we're back to the regular release schedule, so the next episode's coming out in 2 weeks' time. So hang tight, we'll be back before you know it. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Undergang Armchair. The intro and outro music was kindly provided by Johnny Ripper, and today's interstitial music was provided by The Passion Hi-Fi. You can find links to their music and tons of other conversations with great people on our publisher of a website, undergang.net. This show is produced in part with the kind support of the Danish Arts Council. Thank you so much for joining us. Bye.